This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Scarecrows frightened of the clouds, laughing boys. I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Shine that signal, come out to play. I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Bring it on, Batman. Jump out your cave, 'cause I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Shine that signal, come out and play. I am a Batman. I am a Batman. Bring it on.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 231 of the Bat-Fans podcast, the only time of the year where we say our actual name of the show because it's a new year, 2022, and we have to reveal our new name for that year. But before that, we just say the Bat-Fans podcast. So, yeah, our first episode of 2022 is here. So, Dane, welcome. How has the new year been for you so far?
Kind of awful, Tim. I mean, I hate to say it. Well, I got COVID. It didn't hit me that bad. I have my vaccination. I just didn't get my booster. So, I just had minimal, I guess you could say, effects of COVID, right? Just had a sore throat, a cough, runny nose. That's about it. So yeah, the vaccine really helped. I'm sure. Just didn't get that booster. My girlfriend got the booster. She was perfectly fine. It's like nothing even happened. So definitely, if you're vaccinated, get the booster. If you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. It really does help. It helped me. It helped my girlfriend. And yeah, this New Year sucked.
Thankfully, there's still a lot of 2022 left, but as we
Yeah.
know, each year goes by quicker and quicker. So, sucks that it got off to a bad start for you, but glad you're doing okay and it wasn't a serious case of COVID. So, glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back outside,
Yeah.
being able to go places. You know.
Yeah, so I guess as I mentioned in the introduction of this episode, a new year means a new name for the show. And as always, it's going to be something totally unexpected, something totally non-relevant. But we got one for 2022. And Dane, I'll throw it to you to make the reveal and the explanation for the official name of the Bat-Fans podcast for 2022.
Okay, so like I said, I got COVID. So from December 23rd to I want to say January 12th, I think. Let's see. Sorry, the 11th. The 12th. I have been stuck at work. Stuck at home. So, thankfully I wasn't stuck at work, but I've been stuck at home, so I've been doing nothing at all. So I have been playing a lot of video games. So I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I beat it. I played all the expansions in Ireland and then in Paris. And so I came up with two names initially. First name was Pig-Faced Ugly Dane.
Which was hard to pass up, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it was really hard for you, Tim. I know that. The second one was Dublin Dane, because they refer to the Vikings in that game as Danes, no matter where they come from. The Viking you play is from Norway, but then they just call her or him a Dane, right? Um, almost as an insult, almost as like oh, well, you're just a Dane, sort of thing. That's what it sounds like. But
Must have been so much fun for you playing through however long it took you to beat the game, hearing that probably a bunch of times.
yeah, yeah, it's like, get out of here, Dane, or we don't allow Danes over here. Like, wow, how specific for me for this game. Um, so yeah, in the Ireland expansion, the Wrath of the Druids, uh, you go to Dublin, and they refer to a character as a Dublin Dane. So I thought that was a cool name. So that's why we're going with it.
It does have a nice ring to it, Dublin
Yeah.
Dane. Right?
Never
So
been to Ireland, but you know, it just sounds right.
yes.
Right?
So there you
yeah,
have it.
that's our new name,
For
Dublin Dane.
2022, we are officially known as a Dublin Dane. Maybe we could say with an Irish accent too as we introduce it each episode.
Well, we don't want to be offensive to him by
That is true.
ruining
Yes.
our accent.
Good point, because I know I'll probably have an awful one.
You as well.
All right. So in the first episode of Dublin Dane of 2022, as always, we got to kick off each episode by continuing our minute-by-minute commentary and rolling into the new year with Fellowship of the Ring, minute 20 through minute 21. So too bad we couldn't be at minute 22 to kick off our first episode of 22. We didn't quite match up to that, but we're still going to be continuing on. I believe we're still at Bilbo's birthday party. So if you want to grab your DVD player, your VHS player, your Laserdisc player, your Betamax player, your HD DVD player, your Blockbuster membership rental card, your Netflix physical media disc in that red envelope, your DVHS copy and player, and still alive and kicking in 2022, your VHS to converted DVD copy. So unless there is another dead media format that happened in 2021, I think that's all of them. We'll see what media format kicks the bucket in 2022 that will add to the list. But for now, grab all those, go to minute 20, and I'll give the countdown if you are ready, Dane.
Yes, I am.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play. As the fireworks go off into the night sky. I always forget too that in the shot right here where you could see a Hobbit band playing in the background, that Pippin is actually in the band playing like a banjo type instrument that I totally forgot about until I was rewatching the special feature documentaries, and he mentioned that. Like, oh yeah. I don't think you get a clear shot of it. You really have to be paying attention to the background in order to see it.
Yeah. So is that the girl that he ends up with at the end?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Rosie. This had to be cool for those seeing it for the first time, seeing Bilbo mention the events of The Hobbit to Peter Jackson's children right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
His kids?
Yeah, they have cameos in each movie.
Oh, just like he does, right?
Yeah.
I
They're
don't think we came up to his
No, not
his
yet.
cameo, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So his children are in this shot right here, and then in the Battle of Helm's Deep, where like the women and children are hiding underneath in the caves, there's some shots of them there. Then in Return of the King, it's when I believe Faramir and Gondor soldiers are making their way back to Osgiliath, and like the townspeople are kind of throwing flowers at them, seeing them off, and there's shots of his kids there. I believe that's where they're in. And
That
then
that battle never made sense to me. The Helm's Deep one. It's like, let's back ourselves into a corner, right?
well,
And
Helm's Deep has never felt fell to anyone, so they figured that's the safest place. It's impenetrable, or I
Yeah.
should say, was impenetrable. So
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like let's not fight on an open battlefield. Let's go to a tight area where we can't get out. You
well, it would have worked if Starman didn't invented dynamite in the movie and blew up the wall.
He invents dynamite.
But yeah, well, I guess we'll have a lot to say if we ever make our way to Two Towers in a minute by minute commentary, but we'll cross that road when we get there many years from now. So, as always, at the beginning of each year with our episode, or I should say our first episode of the year, we always like to do our annual recap of our favorites of 2021, and we'll continue with that for this episode. As always, we break it down between favorite movies, TV shows, comic albums, just video games, all that type of stuff. So I guess we could kick off with probably what I always forget what we usually start off with, but for some reason I feel we should do movies to kick off. And for me, I don't think it's going to be any surprise of what my favorite movie of 2021 was, and it was nice to have comic book movies kind of come back in full force this year, where we had a lot of releases this year for comic book movies, and it was great to have them back and be able to see them in movie theaters again. And I think no other movie encompassed how great that was than Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah, I know, shocker. You just heard us rave about it on our final episode of 2021, giving a review of that. And I've seen it 3 times now, and it's just amazing. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie. It's one of, I think, the best comic book movie. Just how they encompass so much of what you love about Spider-Man as a character, giving a great story and development for Tom Holland's Spider-Man character, while at the same time celebrating the history of Spider-Man movies with the appearance of Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and several of the villains. It just all came together for just an amazing Spider-Man movie, pun intended. So to me, there was really no contest. It's hard to top that, especially amongst the comic book movie genre. That's just, it couldn't be beat. So I know it's not a shocker, but Spider-Man No Way Home, definitely my favorite movie of 2021. And I'm curious to hear yours, Dane, because you just recently saw a comic book movie that became available on Disney Plus. I'm wondering if that's going to take the top spot for you now. But let's hear what's your favorite movie of 2021.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say 2 movies, right? Because I don't know if it's just because it's one of them is fresher than the other one or not, but of course, Spider-Man, No Way Home. But the second one, yeah, is Eternals. I saw it yesterday on Disney Plus, and I just think it. I don't see why people have problems with it. The pacing, maybe. Um, there were some scenes that could have been cut shorter, especially the scene in the Amazon when they go and try to find, or they find Druig. Like I felt like that should have been cut a little bit shorter. But besides that, I just enjoyed the movie. I love the characters. I like how they're referencing what happened in the MCU, but this is an entirely different thing, and I think this is Marvel's most interesting, most thoughtful, um, most different, I guess you could say, movie that they've ever made, and I I don't see why people have a problem with it. Maybe it's the long running time, which, yeah, you got a point. It is kind of long. It's longer than it needs to be, but overall, I really like the characters. I know nothing about the Eternals, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely know nothing. This is not like, yeah, I've heard of Thanos, but kind of don't know what he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing about any of the Eternals,
Yeah, I went
let
in the
alone
exact same way. Yeah.
yeah. And I think maybe that helped because I know you liked it, Tim,
Hmm?
um, and I like it. Chloe Zhao makes movies look beautiful. She did that with Nomadland, and she definitely did it with Eternals. And I one thing I do appreciate is actually shooting on location,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
We're not on a sound set with a fake background, which a lot of the Avengers movies had. So it was great to be at on location, right? And that's one thing that sets it apart. Another thing that sets it apart is there really is no. It comes off really cold, especially in the beginning. Um, there isn't that friendly, warm, "Hey, I'm Spider-Man" sort of thing, right? Or we're the Avengers and we do jokes sort of thing. Um, it starts off really, really cold. Um, kind of don't know what's going on, especially for people like you and me, where we don't know anything about the Eternals and their whole deal. Um, and it's this weird space thing, and it's like it's really stark and it's really cold in the beginning, and then you start learning about the characters and their little intricacies. And it's sort of like the reverse of these Marvel movies, where take Hawkeye for example, where you're along the journey of I forget her name. Was it Kate Bishop, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, you're with her in that journey where she's uh, an archer, and then she meets she's fights crime, and then she meets Hawkeye, and on and on and on and on and on. This is like they're established already. They're doing their thing, protecting Earth against the deviants, and then you start learning about them in the current day. And I thought that was interesting too. So overall, I really liked it. I really don't have a bad word to say about it, except I felt like some parts could have been, cut a little shorter. Um, but yeah, I this is Marvel's most different movie, and I really appreciate it for that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I knew this would be one. So I think I even said this when I reviewed it in our episode, how I just think this would be the Marvel movie that you would really like, because it is kind of unlike any of the other ones. And you can just kind of go into it fresh, not knowing anything, and get engrossed with its story and characters. So I'm glad
Yeah,
that proved
yeah,
to be right.
and that was another thing too. Is I was actually engrossed in the story. I wasn't like, okay, well, let me check Twitter while Spider-Man's going on about how much he loves MJ. You know, yeah. I was actually engrossed.
Yeah, because the one thing, right, this is where my nitpick came with the movie. All right, because I did agree it was a little too long and certain things could have been cut. It was the kind of the subplot that was going on with the deviants, where in the beginning, as the initial threat, I thought it all worked. But the one, I forget its actual name, but the one that was kind of evolving and becoming more humanoid, that became like Angelina Jolie's character, like her foil to face at the end. It just felt kind of something for her to that for doing that fight sequence at the end. It just
Um,
didn't really develop into much. It didn't really need to be there with the overall course of where the story went at the end, with Icarus being revealed to be the main bad guy and one they were trying to take down. That other deviant that evolved just felt unnecessary and kind of took away from the focus of just being on the main uh, crux of what the final battle was going to be against Icarus. But that was pretty much my only nitpick about it.
yeah. You're you're probably right that I don't think we really needed that beyond the we're just trying to survive sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, that could have been their whole thing. So yeah, you're probably right on that. But didn't see that Icarus thing happening.
Yeah. I mean, either.
um, that took me totally off guard. I'm wondering if that's a comic story or not, where he sort of turns against the other Eternals.
I don't think it is, but again,
Yeah.
the Eternals didn't have too long of a run anyway, so it's like I'm pretty
Oh,
sure that
really?
most of the stuff in the movie was kind of done for the movie, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of I guess they took a lot of liberties with some of the source material that it originated from because it really wasn't that long.
Oh, I see. And this was a Jack Kirby thing,
Yeah.
or was it a? Oh, okay, yeah. Um, I do have to mention, Tim. I I do have to talk about one of the greatest characters that Marvel has ever created. The MCU has ever created, I guess you could say. Um, one of the greatest characters of 2021, probably this new decade that we're in. Probably this new century that we're in, the
Wow.
21st
Are you
century.
making that claim?
Yeah, let's say it. Let's say it, Tim. That is a character name, Dane Whitman. I do have to say, is probably my favorite character in the MCU.
No kidding.
He is smart, right? He's an academic.
Yeah.
He is good looking. Kit Harington is a good looking guy. And he gets the girl at the end, kind of, right?
For a little bit.
For a little bit. For a little bit until what's his name? Ashram uh, takes him, takes his love away. He has to go and get his cool sword. His cool sword, Tim. He has a cool sword again.
That he does, yeah.
That's another good quality. Um, and he gets to talk to Blade, which is really cool. So the most complete character in all of the MCU, the coolest character, and the greatest character is all in this one movie. So, yeah, Dane Whitman. This is why this is the best Marvel movie.
I was gonna say that's the real reason why you love it, right? I think the only way it could have been better if his name was Dublin Dane. That would have been the tops right there.
Well, movie takes place in London for the most part. London is close to Dublin.
Kind of sounds alike a little bit.
London, Dublin, yeah, same geographical area. Let's call it a Dublin Dane, Tim.
All right. I'll defer to you since you are a Dane, so they're gonna work.
So yeah, greatest movie ever made, greatest character ever made. That's why it's my favorite movie of 2021.
Well said.
But no, seriously, Eternals is something different. I didn't expect to like it that much, especially when it comes to Marvel movies. You know me, and these Marvel movies, I just don't get it. I fell off the bandwagon a long time ago, and just having trouble getting back on.
And I'm there to fill in the blanks and questions that you have, whatever you do, try
Yeah.
to catch up.
It's just essentially every single question about the MCU, right? So yeah, with this Eternals movie, I'm so glad it was different. I'm so glad it looked different. I mean, there was that sort of Marvel look that you're used to seeing in um, in these Marvel movies, but there's also scenes where like they first pull up to Ajax's house,
Mhm.
in South Dakota, and it looks completely different. So yeah, just everything from the look to the story to the characters, just to like the overall attitude that this movie takes. It's so different from what Marvel has done before that I really appreciate it, and I guess now that I've said that, I can kind of see why people don't like it. Uh, it's just a different thing, and
Yeah.
I I know people want more of the same thing, but like you just kind of gotta like move past that what you've known of the MCU before and view this as a totally different thing. And that's what I appreciate it for, and that's why I love it. And yeah, this is to me anyway. This is my favorite Marvel movie, and this is a great movie. So yeah, just leave it at that.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like, I had a feeling you would. So.
Yeah.
All right. So from favorite movie, let's move on to favorite TV show of 2021. And this one, there was a ton of comic book shows you could have choose from. The MCU made its debut on Disney Plus with WandaVision. You had Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Loki, and then Hawkeye to finish it off. And not to mention other DC continued with season 3 of Titans. And I know all the CW Arrowverse shows are still going on, but I kind of fell off that since they had the Infinite or Crisis on Infinite Earths special, which I felt was a good wrap up to those series, but still continuing on. It's just something I haven't been into as far as what they've been doing on those series. So no knock to anyone who's still watching them. I heard Superman and Lois is really good. I saw the first few episodes of that and I did enjoy it. It's just something where I just haven't had a chance to keep up with it. I would like to go back and finish the season, and I still got to go back and watch Stargirl season 2 because season 1 of Stargirl was really, really good, and I heard season 2 was good also. So definitely got to go back and check that out as well. But there's no shortage of comic book TV shows, but also Star Wars had a great showing for TV series in 2020 also, but mainly in animated form, and that's what's going to take my spot for my favorite TV show of 2021, and that is Star Wars: The Bad Batch. And I was excited for this series when it was announced, and we even talked about the first few episodes when it premiered. But as a series as a whole, I just absolutely loved it because you know how much I love the story of the clone troopers and that aspect of the Star Wars universe, and how the series dived into showing the aftermath of Order 66 and how the clones reacted to that just kind of fell into place with the Empire, and still seeing some that didn't really fall in line. Those first few episodes were just great at that. And then you throw in the dynamic between the Bad Batch losing one of the members in Crosshair and him staying with the Empire and struggling with his inhibitor chip, and then you later find out he removed it, but yet he's still going along with the Empire. Just that whole dynamic between those characters, which is so great. And then you get to the finale where we saw something that was tough to see, but so beautifully done, which was the destruction of Tapoca City on Camino. I mean, that was one of the biggest questions I've had ever since it was introduced in episode 2, 20 years ago now, which is hard to believe. But just what did the Empire do with Camino and the cloning facilities? What happened? And now we got the answer in the Bad Batch, and it was tough to see as the Empire laid waste to it and just removed everything, all the research, pretty much done away with the Kaminoans and just took it all for themselves, and just even had clone troopers destroy their home city. It was tough to watch, but at the same time, like I said, so beautifully executed by the crew behind the series. So as like I said, as someone who just loves the clone trooper story in Star Wars, there was just so much to love about this series, and that's why it ended up being my favorite series of 2021. And it looked beautiful too. The animation on it was just top notch. Some shots even looked like it could have been in a live action movie. That's how great it was. So yeah, a lot of stuff to choose from, especially in the comic book genre or just like genre TV in general. But good old Star Wars animation took out the win for me in 2021 with the Bad Batch. I love that series.
Yeah, so this one is gonna be really hard for me. Bad Batch was great. For all the reasons you said. Another reason I love the Bad Batch that I don't really see being mentioned in Star Wars spaces, I guess you could say, is I really like seeing Order 66 in real time.
Yep.
From characters that are affected by it, right? They are affected by it, but they're not Jedi, right? It's not from the Jedi's perspective, right? But I love seeing Order 66 in real time, and it almost makes me want more of that. Like, yeah, I want to see Order 66 from a regular citizen of any planet, I want to see their perspective of Order 66. But yeah, for all the reasons you mentioned, I love the Bad Batch. The character dynamics between all of the members is really good to see. What the second one I got to mention is, and you're gonna be surprised by this, Tim. So
Okay.
hold on to your pants, Tim. Hawkeye. I
Oh, wow.
really enjoyed it. I didn't expect to like it. I thought it was just gonna be okay, this is your standard Marvel thing, and we're gonna introduce a new character, and that's gonna be it, right? Didn't expect to really really like Kate Bishop. I really like that character. I, I don't know if it's I forget her name.
Haley
Is it Haley
Steinfeld?
Steinfeld?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's her acting or the way she's written or the combination of the both or uh, yeah, I really like her. I really like the character of Kate Bishop. I like how she's acted. I like how she's written. I like how she interacts with Hawkeye, where she's kind of a fangirl, but
Mm,
she's trying to like hide it. But and I really like the story of how like they're going up against essentially her family, right?
yeah,
Uh,
pretty much.
I really like that aspect. One thing I will criticize the show about, I think they should have killed Hawkeye in the show. I just really think they should have
Hmm.
done it. But
Just to have her
uh,
like fully take on the mantle of Hawkeye
yeah,
moving forward.
yeah, have her do it, right? Instead of like, okay, well, Hawkeye's just enjoying spending time with his family. But in the end, I am wrong because I I guess it's a better decision to just have him, exist in the universe, and he's just hanging out with his family and doing his own thing now. He's not Hawkeye anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, I I really like that show. I didn't expect to like it. Probably my biggest surprise of the year was Hawkeye.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
that I am definitely surprised that that is one of your favorites.
yeah. My favorite show, however, is one that didn't. I don't know why it wasn't promoted at all. It was based off a book I read a couple years back, and I I really didn't think much of the book. I thought it was interesting, but I didn't really. I just didn't really connect with it. I kind of like the story, what they did, but that show is Station 11 on HBO Max. Uh, it's it's about a. I remember reading the book and I was like, okay, well, it's about a pandemic, and that'll never happen, right? So, ha ha ha.
So
Um,
unrelatable.
yeah. So, um, yeah, it's probably Station 11. It's a story about a girl. Well, she starts off as a girl. She's an actress on she's a stage actress doing King Lear, and the pandemic happens, and all this other stuff happens, and it's the cinematography, it's the acting, it's the fact that they did something different with the show. They went in a completely different direction than what the book does. Um, I really really enjoyed it. So probably Station 11 is my top show of the year.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
when you said the name, it kind of sounds familiar, but I don't remember. I couldn't tell you what it looked like seeing the trailer or anything like that. So probably just have
exactly.
to check that out.
Yeah, it's kind of based around this graphic novel called Station 11, and the graphic novel plays big into the post-apocalyptic pandemic world. No zombies, Tim.
That's good.
It's a flu that takes over, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's so sad that HBO didn't promote it at all. I just saw like a little tweet about it that they sent out, and then um, nothing after that. So yeah, probably Station 11 is probably my favorite show of the year. Really hard because of Bad Batch, but yeah, probably Station 11.
I have to at least check out a trailer for it.
Yeah.
Other honorable mentions I'll say too. I just finished the recent season of Cobra Kai, season 4. That was still a solid season for continuing that series, which I just love that series. Some of it could be ridiculous, but it's just so much fun to watch. I just love those characters, seeing them interact
Yeah.
together. Just really fun stuff. And then Sweet
Now,
Tooth from earlier this year.
can I ask you a question about Cobra Kai?
Oh yeah,
So I am like a couple episodes in. Do they ever get over the I'm with you, I'm not with you, we're together as Miyagi-Do, we're not
yeah.
sort of thing?
There's a few more bumps in there, but by the time you get to the end of the
Yeah.
season, yeah, I think that's finally come to a point where that's going to be over with.
Okay, because that's grinding on my gears a little bit.
And I could understand that. There has to be a point where
Yeah.
something gets resolved where they're like working together or they're not going to try to work together anymore. But
Yeah.
it does. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
One thing I'll say too, of I don't think it's a spoiler. You know, there's going to be a tournament at the end, right? That's
Yeah.
what they're building
Yeah.
towards.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will
I'm
say,
at the point where they're broken up, Miyagi-Do and so like Eagle Fang.
Eagle Fang, yeah,
are separately doing their own thing. Like Eagle Fang has to get a girl
yeah.
for the girls competition, and then Miyagi-Do has to get a guy for the guys the boys competition. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it gets to the tournament, I will say, for me anyway, I felt the outcome of it were a little bit predictable by kind of how they were setting it up, but at the same time, I did like the direction it went as far as the outcome of the tournament. So that was the only kind of point where I thought I kind of know where this is going. But at the same time, I still enjoyed it, even though I didn't know. So I'll see if you feel the same way once you get to the point where they're at the actual tournament.
So like you can see it coming. You're like, oh, okay, so
Like who's gonna win? Yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay.
But yeah, and another great thing I love about the series is that at the end of each season, the way it ends, it just makes you really excited for the next season. When this one's the same way, so I'm looking forward to season 5, which I believe they already filmed. So hopefully, it won't be too much of a wait.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
at least most of it anyway. Maybe not all of it, but I heard the majority of it's done already.
Oh, so this season was filmed before the pandemic then?
No, it was during, because I've seen some behind the scenes stuff, and everyone's wearing masks and stuff. So.
Oh, I see.
But maybe they wanted to get ahead just in case things got worse, which they kind of did.
Yeah.
So maybe they did film season 5 quicker than they normally would have.
Yeah, it was surprising to see that Eternals was filmed before the pandemic.
Oh yeah, it was delayed a
Yeah.
while. It's supposed to come out November
Yeah.
2020, I think. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So it was a
okay.
full year delay.
Yeah. I see.
But yeah, but the other show I just wanted to mention was Sweet Tooth. I kind of forgot that came out in 2021 looking back on it, but that was one where I knew nothing. I heard of it. I seen images of the comic, but didn't ever read it, and then watched the show because the concept did seem interesting to me, and I really did enjoy the show. But then I know talking to you about it made me want to read the actual comic series, and I love the comics. That final issue is one of the best conclusions to a comic story I think I've ever read. The whole journey that took place in those comic series was great. So I love the show for what it was, but I love it even more for making me want to dive into the comic and really liking and loving what the comic did too. So Sweet Tooth had to give an honorable mention as well.
Yeah, I totally forgot Sweet Tooth. So.
There's a lot of stuff this year when it came to TV shows.
Yeah, it's completely forget. It makes me wonder what I'm forgetting. I think it's a show. Yeah.
All right, so those are our favorite TV shows for 2021, and I guess we can move on next to favorite video games of 2021. And for me, this is probably the first year where I think there was only one brand new video game I played in 2021 that actually came out in 2021, which was Ratchet and Clank for the PS5, and that game was great. It looked phenomenal. The graphics were mind blowing. Like the first true, I think, game on the PS5 where I felt, man, I'm playing the next gen game right here. And of course, Ratchet and Clank games are always super fun, and this one was no exception. So I love that game. But the majority of games I played were remasters of some of my favorite games from 10, 15 years ago. So that was the majority of my gaming for 2021. And the one I got to give my favorite of 2021 to is going to be the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I've said before how much I love those games, but replaying the Legendary Edition just was like playing them again for the first time and just falling in love with that series all over again. It was because it's been a while since I played them. Mass Effect 3 came out in 2012, so just about 10 years, and even longer for 1 and 2. So just being back playing those games was just an awesome reminder of how amazing they are, just how great the story, the characters, kind of the gameplay design of it was just, I just love it so much. And I just been on a Mass Effect kind of binge ever since I started playing the second one, because I played when it first came out. It came out in May, and I played the first one right away, which was great. But then I took a bit of a break because Skyward Sword, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword came out not too long after that, and Ratchet and Clank, like I said. So I wanted to play those two. So I didn't play Mass Effect 2 until like during the fall. But once I played that, I finished that all the way through every side quest. And then I just had to go straight into Mass Effect 3, even though there were some other games that I wanted to play, but I just had to experience all of Mass Effect when I was just that deep into it. And it just, like I said, just a great reminder why I love that franchise so much, and how I just can't wait for a new game in the series that we know is coming. I even bought all the comics that came out for it, because I had a few issues that were Mass Effect 3 tie-ins, but I never read any of the others, which some came out during the time of Mass Effect 2, and I just wanted to get all of them. And there was a good sale on Comixology where the entire Mass Effect comic book collection I got for like $25. So I've been reading those lately, and it's great expansions to the universe and just some of the characters that it's focusing on. It's just really great. So yeah, even though it's not a game, officially a new game that came out in 2021, it was a new release in 2021, and that's the one I just enjoyed playing the most this whole year. So yeah, I got to give mine to Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
My game of the year for 2021 is a game that I played in 2022, but came out in 2021. So I got the new Xbox.
Oh, so you did
And,
get the Xbox. See, I thought
yeah.
you sent me a message on Xbox Live. It's like, oh, cool, Dane's back on Xbox Live. I just thought you turned on your Xbox One. I didn't know you got a Series X.
I got the Series S.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Series S. Okay.
Yeah, I figure I shelled out for the top of the line PlayStation model.
But
Might
not
as
the
well just go with
Xbox.
the cheaper one, because not that big of an Xbox fan.
That's fair.
I love the idea of the Game Pass. I really like that,
Yeah.
where you get the AAA day one, Microsoft titles.
I know, how great is that? I mean, you could play
You
the new
know,
Halo, the new Forza just right away.
yeah. So I only buy Xboxes for Forza Horizon. It's probably one of my favorite franchises. It's the one I've played probably. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's the one that I've played the longest from Forza 2. Um, I, and with Forza 5, they did an amazing job. I wasn't sure how the whole theme of Mexico would be, because they did such a great job with Forza 4, with pretty much the entirety of Scotland, down to northern England. It was just so lovingly done. Everything looked beautiful. The season system, even though it was a little irritating at times, where like if we're in winter, it's winter in the game. If we're in fall, it's fall in the game. Summer, it's summer in game, sort of thing. Even though that could be a little irritating, I I really love Forza 4. It was so well done. But with Forza 5, I don't know how they did it, but they topped themselves. Um, from the setting, I love Mexico. Mexico is a beautiful country. Um, it's with this dense sort of rainforest to these beautiful, beautiful cities. I forget the name of the city. It's the actual city in Mexico, but um, they did a really, really good job just going from what I see in the game to pictures on the internet of the city. It, it's like it's like a one for one copy of the actual real world city. To going out west to the Pacific Ocean and the beaches and the sand dunes, and going up north to the mountains where there's a little bit of snow. Um, they, they just did a really good job with how it looks, especially the sound design. With the rainforest, you hear the birds. With the sand, you hear the ocean, the mountains, you hear the wind. It's just like this complete package, and with the cars, the cars sound more different. I know that was the big criticism of Forza 4 was the cars sound almost exactly the same, but overall it was more just they invested in the exploration of Mexico, whereas sort of like the previous iterations of the game is more focused on the racing and less about, you know, can you go up here and check out this? Can you go climb this mountain in a all-wheel drive or a 4x4? And can you go check that out? And there's this other interesting place. Can you go take pictures of can you go take pictures of these ancient statues? Can you go take a picture of the Mayan temples? Can you go? You can go into the Mayan temples, um, and it's just sort of like the combination of all of this: the sound design, the graphics look amazing on the new Xboxes, and just the whole set. It really feels like you're in Mexico, and you're going from you know north, south, east, west, different landscapes, and it just feels like a whole complete game. Um, and so yeah, that's why it's my favorite game of the year. I really can't stop thinking about it. After we're done with this, I'm probably gonna hop on my Xbox and go explore Mexico because yeah, it's such a beautiful game. Yeah.
Yeah, it does look awesome. The graphics sort of. I mean, I'm not much of a racing gamer. Like, probably like the
Yeah.
last real racing game I played was Gran Turismo 3 on the PlayStation 2. So,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
I my favorite racings were more the arcade style, like the Burnout series. I love Burnout 3. That game was
Yeah.
awesome. But like as far as like the actual like simulation type racing game, Gran Turismo 3 on the PS2 was probably the last one I ever played. But I remember that
Yeah.
being mind blowing.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of the point where I really like how they expanded on the other things, right? Sure, you can go racing if you want to go racing. It has a really deep um, customization aspect to it, where you can really customize your cars, your trucks. Uh, but there's like this other aspect where it's just like you can go exploring. There's other fun activities to do that has nothing to do with racing that they really expanded on in this game from Forza 4. So yeah, I just really like how they expanded the game. I was really wondering how they were going to top themselves in Forza 4, considering they did such a good job with Scotland and England, or the UK, I guess you could say. But they really topped themselves with this Mexico game. I I have nothing negative to say about it.
Awesome. Well, I guess if long as you're a racing fan and it delivers on everything you want it to be, like, how can it not be your game of the year for
Yeah.
2021? So, cool. Like I said, though, glad to have you back on Xbox. So when I'm on,
Yeah.
nice to see your name that you're online.
And I did download the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I
Now
did
that
do it.
that just came on Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do Tim a favor. I'm gonna. I mean, I'm gonna really, really take a deep dive into Mass Effect and really criticize it and break Tim's heart.
That's not gonna happen. You're gonna love it. I forget you just played a little bit of the first one, right?
No, Andromeda.
Oh, that's the only one you play.
Yeah.
See, I haven't even played that one because I've heard it's really not
Don't.
gonna. I think I'm gonna have to at some point just because I just love that universe so much. I should get the full story
Yeah.
of everything. But
Maybe
I said before.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I think we're both gonna go into something, but
Oh.
you can go.
Maybe they updated it, but when I first played it, it was such a broken game.
No, yeah, I heard it was,
Game breaking. Game breaking. You have to go back in your saves to to unlock yourself from or to be able to play the game or to unlock yourself from getting stuck, you know. So maybe they updated it, maybe it's good now. I haven't gone back obviously, but yeah. I it's not my favorite franchise because it was such a bad experience
That should never
with
have been your
Andromeda.
first experience of Mass Effect. No,
Yeah.
it should definitely be the first game.
So I was watching the intro on YouTube, right? On a Let's Play. And
Okay.
so can you explain something to me? So you're pretty much just an explorer then.
Not really. No. You're in the military and you have a clear mission of what you're supposed to do. But there is exploring, but that's not your main goal. It's not what you're really supposed to do.
Yeah, but on the first mission on that first game, it's like a research facility. You gotta go to a research facility to.
Because you have to investigate a situation that's happening there.
Right,
So.
right. They got attacked by somebody, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to do me. You have to do me this favor when you do it, Dane. When you play, you
Yeah.
have to create your own character. Don't just use the generic design they have. Create your own character. It makes it more fun.
Okay.
Because it
I'll
really feels
make
like
him look
it's
awful.
your experience. It's your story.
I'm gonna make him look awful, and I'll send you a screenshot.
Make them however you want, but I definitely want to see a screenshot of your Commander Shepard.
Yeah, I will do that.
Thank you. All right, so that's our favorite video game. So I guess now we can move on to our favorite comic issue of 2021. And this one I don't think is going to be a surprise either. And we'll see if we're on the same page here, Dane. But mine is going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, issue number 2. And that came out at the beginning of 2021. I believe it was February. But as we reviewed on the episode here when it first came out, how much I absolutely loved that issue. I mean, the series in general has been awesome, but that issue in particular, it just blew me away from its storytelling, its artwork, its characterization. It was like the complete package of everything you want in a comic book. The way it balanced the flashback sequence of, because we know most of the turtles did not survive in the story. We saw how Raphael went down, just how brutal that fight was with him and Karai and how they took each other out. And then you just move, and then what's the story taking place in the current future timeline with Michelangelo being reunited with April, and just how different their characters are, and just everything that's happened, seeing them reunite was so great. But then the moment that just truly blew me away is when Michelangelo was telling his story and his flashback of what he did when everything went down against the foot and he lost contact with his brothers, and how he just went into exile, and how the artwork was done by Kevin Eastman in that classic Mirage style black and white Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics that they originated from. And it was just so cool to get that as part of the design and look of Michelangelo telling his flashback. So everything about this issue was just so brilliantly done. And the other issues have been great too, but I just think it's going to be hard to top this one. And we got one more issue left in the story to see how it ends. But even then, I don't think it's going to top what we got in issue 2. It was just so well done. And I don't think no comic book that's come out in 2021 has come close to how much I love that single issue. So, yeah, for me, it's definitely without question the Last Ronin issue number 2. It just blew me away, and just every time, like I've gone back and read it a few times, and I just continue to be blown away whenever I do read it. It was just such a fantastic issue.
Yeah, we're gonna agree on this thing.
I had a feeling.
I will say, also the Sophie Campbell TMNT run ongoing. It's really good. Yeah, for every reason you said, Last Ronin is really, really awesome. TMNT returns pretty much. Like the Dark Knight returns to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's TMNT returns, except better, I'd say. And one thing I didn't expect, or one thing I really want to talk about, is the shock factor of them dying. I guess you could say, especially with that first issue where Raph dies. And just reading through that issue, and then like, okay, so Karai, not Karai. Oh man, am I getting my characters mixed up, Tim?
No, he did fight Karai in that issue.
Yeah, Karai, right? Yeah, Karai and him go underwater, and then they're stabbing each other, and then Raph, floats to the bottom, and I was like, okay, but he's coming back, right? He's coming back. Like he's gonna jump out of the water, and he's gonna be all right? And no, he's dead. And just sort of that shock factor, first reading that comic, and then doing it again, and then doing it again. It's it wasn't easy to see that.
No.
And it was shocking, and it is definitely, from the art to the story to everything, was amazing, but or is amazing, but Last Ronin. Yeah, so I agree with you. Definitely my favorite comic of the year.
Cool. Yeah, it's hard to go against that one. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess last we can do is our favorite album of 2021, and for this year was a pretty solid year, at least for the bands that I like, because we got a new Foo Fighters album, we got 2 Weezer albums, which was awesome, and the first one that came out earlier in 2021, OK Human, which is Weezer doing songs with a full-blown orchestra. I love that album. That was really good, something different for them, and it's a lot of good solid songs that was just really cool and almost made it to the top spot. But the album that actually is going to be my number 1 of 2021 is from the band Wolf Alice. And I'm not sure if you're too familiar with them, Dane. They're an alternative rock band from London, which they're big over there, but Wolf Alice.
Wolf Alice.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're big overseas in like England, but they haven't quite hit it big over here yet, which is a shame because they're really great. They've become like one of my favorite, I say new bands, but they're not really new anymore. I first came across them in 2015, but yeah, they're ones that have become one of my favorites. And this album, Blue Weekend, was really good. And there's just a great mix of style. I just love how each album they've made so far have been totally different, but yet all of them solid. And this one is no different. It has more of there's songs that have like a jazzy feel to it, but then you got your fast punk songs on there. Then you got these like piano ballads that remind me of some that the Beatles did, like Hey Jude. It's just a great variety of stuff that's on this album. And they come from kind of a more alternative hard rock background. Like the first album was really good and has some more like heavy distortion songs. And that's the stuff I love about their sound the most. But this one has a little bit of that, but even though they go in a different direction, it's just still really solid. You can just tell they're great musicians. And just this album, you kind of see them just grow as musicians and just songwriters as well. So it's just something that when I first heard it, I didn't think it was quite as good as their first 2, but the more I kept going back and listening to it, and it probably was my most listened to album of 2021, the more I appreciate it more. And probably not my favorite album of theirs, because their first one that came out in 2015 is still my favorite, but this one is right under there now. I just really come to appreciate it the more I listen to it. So yeah, that's going to be my favorite album of 2021, Blue Weekend by Wolffellas.
It seems like their second album is the one with all of the acclaim.
That one did really well too. I'm not going to lie about that. But this one, I felt on their second album, there was a couple of songs that weren't my favorite that I kind of skipped, where like their first album and this one, I don't skip any songs.
First album and My Love Is Cool.
Yeah. They came out with a few EPs before that. Their EPs are good too.
Man, how did you find out about this band?
Trying to remember how exactly. I think it was actually, believe it or not, one of the few times I think I was in a car where I didn't have my iPod or any type of player, and I was listening to the radio, and one of their songs came on called Mona Lisa Smile. That was the first song I heard from them. Oh, that sounded cool. It's like a throwback to good old like hard alternative rock back from the 90s. So then I listened to their album, really liked it, and been following them ever since. But I think that was the only time I actually heard them on the radio, because I never heard a song of theirs on the radio since. But because there is a YouTube channel that I watch where I kind of find about and discover new bands, ARTV, and I've heard or got more familiar with them through that channel as far as seeing how many albums they had. But I did first hear their song Mona Lisa Smile on the radio. That's when I first heard them. That's always a good feeling when you hear something just so unexpected for the first time and you really like it. Then you dive into the band and you really like the rest of their stuff too. Because that is kind of a rare thing when it happens.
So yeah, my favorite album of the year was, again, one that I was waiting for. It's from an artist. She called Lingua Ignota, or Lingua Ignota, or Kristen Hayter is her name. I came across her work because it was just like, oh, you gotta listen to this album. Her previous album called Caligula. You gotta listen to this album. It's like one of the most difficult albums to listen to, and so I did.
Difficult
and
albums.
I didn't really understand it. I listened to her first album, I guess you could say, called All Bees, I guess you could say, Must Die. But I went back to her second album, Caligula, and it finally hit me. She's a classically trained musician, and her first album was more, like this industrial Nine Inch Nails sounding album, and her second album was essentially a metal album.
Oh.
It's a black metal album, and it's extremely heavy with the content. It's about domestic violence. It's about being a victim of domestic violence. It's it's not. It's more like, okay, so I was a victim and now I've gotten over it. It was more, I am a victim and I haven't gotten over it, and it's really hard to get over it, and I'm having a really hard time getting over it, and maybe I won't get over it. And using that black metal sort of style to say those things, grabbing you by the throat and screaming in your face, is something that I really, really had to wrap my head around, and I finally got it. And it's Caligula is probably one of my favorite albums of, I'd say like the past 10, 15 years.
Wow.
And on top of all of that, the whole concept and, the musicianship, it's like, she is a great singer. She's a great singer, and she knows how to layer her voice. She knows how to sing in different styles. She's a classically trained musician, and just the whole complete package. And to read more about that album, and to hear that she uses the worst takes that she does, and that's the final take. Her worst take is her final take.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, wow, that your worst take sounded like that, and she's just a great singer, and adding that black metal screaming to it, really it really brings that whole theme of domestic violence and how like that really how traumatic that can be into perspective. Especially when somebody in the most non-violent way can grab you by the neck and scream in your face and tell you how they're feeling, can be. So that was one of my favorite records, hands down. So she came out with another record this past year in 2021 called "Sinner Get Ready," and I was just wondering, like, what was she gonna do after this amazing, monumental album? Like, what do you do after that? And is she gonna be screaming that black metal scream, that shrieking scream? But no, she did something completely different. It's more rustic. It's Americana themed music. It's more classical music.
Hmm.
Um, it's I guess you can tell from the title. It's about religion and how she struggles with religion, and she is religious. She's at least thematically Catholic, but she struggles with it. She loves God, and she you know devotes her life to God and to only God. And how can these bad things happen to her? And how can she get in a bad relationship? How can she suffer from the traumas of domestic violence? And she when she does nothing but praise God, and she also criticizes the fanaticism of religion. It's she she puts in clips of like Jimmy Swaggart, how he praises I mean, he says he's this man of God, and does all these right things, but then he has affairs and with these sex workers and sort of thing. And how come he lives a life of luxury while she does nothing but praise God and does nothing wrong, and she sort of gets the bad stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
She has to live with it, and she has to live with all this drama. And um, it took me a long. These records take me a long time to come around to the theme, but at the end, she's like, she battles with that sort of theme of like, how can she you know be praising God, but like all these bad things happen to her. But at the end of the day, she still loves God, and she wants to go to heaven, and you know, um, paradise will be mine. Regardless of what happens during my life. And I thought that was such a beautiful message. And at the end of the day, I'm not religious, but that's something I sort of respect about people that are religious. These bad things can happen, but at the end of the day, I still love God, and paradise will be mine, because like the last song is essentially a hymn that could be sung in a church somewhere, in a Catholic church, a Christian church. I don't know, maybe even a Jehovah's Witness church. Um, it's such a beautiful message at the end, and that's what really surprised me. It's like especially coming off of her last album, where it was more of like you know, I am, the beast, and I am, maybe I am what they say I am. Maybe I am worthless. Maybe I am, this sort of thing. But with this album, it's like, she has this conflict, and then she resolves it in a sort of peaceful and I don't know. I guess you could say like a faith-filled way. At the end, it's what being a religious person is. Having faith, and I guess at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing, and it's such a beautiful record and such a beautiful message, and it really surprised me, and it it it, it really made me feel great, I guess you could say. Even though she's talking about, you know, she she's like she's still talking about the after the trauma of domestic violence, and like how she feels isolated, and she nobody believes her, and all these sort of things, and she has this conflict with God and with the church, and but at the end of the day, I guess it's personal faith that really, is really the message, and that paradise will be hers, sort of thing. So that's why it's my favorite album of 2021.
Dang, well, that's all like some heavy stuff. Like now I understand what you're saying about being difficult listens. So
Yeah, yeah. It took me a long time to really understand it. Again, maybe if you're religious, you can sort of pick up on it, but it took me a little bit to like really focus on what really she was saying. Because at first I thought it was just a criticism of of religion, and sure, it's there if you want it, but I guess the whole message is like, it's like this conflict, and at the end of the day, what makes you religious, Tim, is faith, and like that promise that paradise will be yours.
yeah, well,
So yeah, that's why. Yeah,
cool.
that's why it's my favorite album.
I do like what you were saying too, how vastly different each album is. Like you said, one's like the heavy metal, the other one, this more recent one, like I said, has some orchestral stuff in it too. So whenever artists do that, that's something I always appreciate, when they switch it up and change directions on different albums.
Yeah, something completely different. No screaming, no black metal screaming. It's more of a singing sort of thing. Yeah, yeah. So that's why it's my favorite album. Yeah,
I have to check it out. All right, so I think that's about does it for our favorites of 2021, covering all the entertainment mediums that we've experienced for the year. As always, it's fun to do, and try to remember too what stuff came out during the year, because I think as each year goes by, there's more and more great content, especially for us nerds and geeks and who like all this genre stuff. So always fun to look back and try to remember what our favorites were. But to continue on, kind of recap a few big news stories that happened since our last episode. I guess we'll start with the more recent, which just came out yesterday, and that is we got our first look at Leslie Grace as Batgirl in her full costume. And she sent a tweet out quoting a line from Batgirl Year One, with an image of her in the Batgirl costume standing on the rooftops of Gotham. And boy, does that costume and does she look perfect as Barbara Gordon's Batgirl. What I saw, I was like, oh man, talk about being ripped straight out of the comic. This is exactly what this image is. And the costume is one of the more recent Batgirl costume designs. See, I probably should have looked this up. Sorry that I didn't, but I know it's the one that came out when Batgirl had a relaunch. I don't believe it was Rebirth. I think it was pre-Rebirth. I think it was when DC was doing that DCU promotion, which was part of the New 52, but I can't remember for sure. But it is one of her more recent costume designs. And it was a design I always liked in the comics, and I think it looks great in live action. Just kept that classic Batgirl color aesthetic, kind of with the purple, the yellow cape, but also having that design of the costume that's more modern too. So I think it looks great. She looks great as Barbara Gordon. And I think some news that's come out from Batgirl since we last recorded is we got some more casting details, where I believe it's been confirmed now that Michael Keaton will be in this movie as Bruce Wayne and Batman. And also, why am I blanking on this actor's name when J.K. Simmons? So especially after just coming off of seeing him in Spider-Man: No Way Home, and but J.K. Simmons will be rephrasing his role as Gordon in this movie too. And I think he was even surprised about that that he got the call for this as well. So it's going to be interesting to see the timeline and just how it takes place, I guess, after Flashpoint, how things are going to be, the universes are going to be now, because obviously you got Michael Keaton in it. We know his James Gordon was Pat Hingle, But J.K. Simmons Gordon is being in this movie, so we know there's going to be some universe melding going on. It looks like, but I'm just excited that they're going to be in it. I'm glad. Flashpoint isn't going to be the only time we see Michael Keaton as Batman, and then just having J.K. Simmons as Gordon, who was good in the few scenes he had in Justice League as Gordon, and definitely wanted to see more of him. So glad that'll be the case in Batgirl. So yeah, this movie is just shaping up to be really, really cool from what we're hearing about the casting, and then now getting this image. I'm excited for it. There's also been some set photos that have leaked out, and I don't know if you saw this, Danny, but there is one they have of a mural of Batman and Robin, and it does look like the Michael Keaton Batman. It's the black suit, but it's not one he wore in a movie. Maybe it's something we're going to see in the Flash movie. But it was also beside him is Robin, and it was Robin in the classic costume, and it wasn't the Chris O'Donnell Robin. It definitely wasn't. So again, I think we're going to get some type of universe melding where they're going to take combinations from the different movies and film universes and put them together. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But just in regards to Batgirl, I'm excited for what they're doing in this movie. So I can't wait to we see more of it and eventually get a trailer. And I wonder too if it's going to be moved from HBO Max to a theatrical release, because I don't know, it just seems too big to have it be limited to that, because Blue Beetle just got bumped up from HBO Max only to a theatrical release, which is good news. So hopefully they'll do the same for Batgirl, because I think it's going to be something you're going to want to see on movies too. So yeah, it's looking really good. I'm excited for it.
What they should do is they should do a which Wayne's brother was supposed to be
Oh
Robin?
yeah, Marlon Wayans. Yeah,
Marlon, right. They should do a picture of him.
that would have been a
And
cool
have
reference.
that
Yeah,
picture. Yeah.
yeah,
He was supposed to be in what? Returns? Or
yeah.
was
It was
it
supposed to be.
yeah.
Well, Robin
Yeah.
was originally supposed to be in Batman '89. They had that storyboard sequence, but I'm not sure if they were considering Marlon Wayans until Batman Returns. I think that's
I
how it
see.
was. But
I see. Hey, let me ask you a question, Tim.
okay.
No Way Home.
Uh,
Uh, I've just been scrolling through Twitter, and then ever since that movie came out, and there's been like these articles where like it's been saying like, oh, Tom Holland says that when they were filming that climactic scene, he was eating a sandwich, or Tom Holland says that the ultimate scene almost never happened, or Tom Holland said that the opening was originally supposed to be this, or Tom Holland says that the script originally had Rhino in it or something, right?
uh,
Um, how are these sites getting this information? Is it from like press interviews that they're
yeah,
reading, and
I
then
know he's done a lot of
and
interviews
yeah,
before, and I
uh,
think he's starting to do some more now after that it's out. So I assume that's where they're getting them from, because honestly, I haven't read
okay.
those ones, at least the ones you're mentioning right now. But
No. I just made those up. Tim. Yeah, like
well, see, that's the
I've
thing.
seen
Those
like
are type of questions you usually get.
yeah, and it's like are they reading like the press interviews and then like, oh, Tom Holland said this, and then writing a whole article about it?
Yeah, that's how those
Oh,
sites work. That's usually how it always
yeah,
goes.
yeah, just for like a clickbaity
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I was just wondering because I saw like a bunch of those that were like like I said, like, oh, Tom Holland was eating a sandwich during the climactic scene, and the climactic scene was supposed to be different, or Tobey Maguire was supposed to originally fight Doc Ock in a warehouse in England, right, or something, like just those things. Yeah, I was just wondering about that.
No, yeah, that's usually you say one quote, a bunch of sites will take it as a whole article and got to write like
Yeah,
a million paragraphs just on one bit of one quote he said. But I'm sure he did say
oh,
something like
sorry,
that. It wouldn't surprise me.
the Batgirl image. I like you really like it, and it looks great. I think it was from the New 52, Tim, when they relaunched the Batgirl book.
Well, it
think it
definitely wasn't the
was
first costume when Batgirl #1 came out for the New 52, because that was more the black costume. So it wasn't this one, but she did get a
was
new
it?
look, I think, later on in the New 52.
Wait, so when the book launched, it was a black?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the one by Gail Simone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was the black one.
I could have swore it was from the New 52.
No, it probably is the New
Uh,
52, but I think it's probably when the new creative team took over and they kind of had a little relaunch. I think that's when she got her new suit, which looks like this one.
okay.
I just don't remember exactly when that was.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it does looks cool. But can you believe, Dane? I'm sure this is going to shock you, but there are complaints about it from
Oh,
social
really?
media.
What is it? Don't tell me it's about her body.
I'm sure there's all over the place, but from what I've seen, it's like looks too fan made or too homemade or something to that effect. Where it's like,
Too fan made.
yeah,
In what sense? Like
like it's just a
the
cosplay cost.
material?
Like someone's doing a cosplay. Yeah, I don't know where they're getting that from, because to me it just looks taken straight out of the comic and how it would look in live action. That's how it looks, which looks good, but apparently
You know what
not
it
for
looks like
everyone.
to me? You know what it looks like to me? It looks like a flight suit. You know that like a jet pilot would
Yeah,
wear?
I can see that.
Yeah, it looks like that. And she took that and colored it purple and then put the Batgirl's sign on it and the utility belt, the cape. Yeah, looks like that. I mean, it looks fine to me.
Yeah, I don't
I
see
don't.
what's not to like about it. I mean, I can understand if it's not your favorite Batgirl costume, because she has had different costumes throughout the comics. Maybe you do like that black one we were talking about, but just kind of see, the overreaction all these type of
Yeah,
releases get. It's never going to change, no matter how good something looks or how you think perfect it looks. And there shouldn't be any complaints about it because it looks exactly like a Batgirl costume. But nope.
I I I really like the cowl. I like the ears and I like the parts around her eyes and the forehead part.
Yeah, that's a
It
good
looks
point. I'm glad
textured. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the ears. It is a good ear length, because you know how I could be real picky about ear length on Batman's cowl, and I think Batgirl is really good. It's a good, nice length right there. Not too short,
Yeah,
not too long.
looks like the Returns cowl. I mean the Batman '89 and the Returns cowl, except with pointier ears, sharper
Yeah.
ears. Yeah. So yeah, I'm
So yeah, that
fine with
was
it. I love it. Yeah.
yeah, it was a cool surprise to get last night. She just tweeted it out, like kind of out of the blue type thing. Yeah, some other news stories that I wanted to mention.
Oh
Other
wait,
than that,
one thing. Speaking of criticism, we got to talk about Book of Boba Fett.
oh, this
Yeah.
last week's episode. Yeah.
I, I mean, I saw on Twitter you didn't really like it.
No, I
I
liked it.
loved it.
I just the episode in general I really liked, but there was aspects of it where I didn't love, but at the same time, it's not worth getting upset over.
Yeah. And I know people are criticizing it for, uh, that Boba Fett isn't, what you thought he was going to be. But
That's a whole nother topic that, oh boy, I could lay into those people, or that I should say those complaints.
and like the truth is that you don't know nothing about Boba Fett, right?
Exactly.
He has like what 9 lines
Yeah.
in 6 movies, and so like I mean, if that 2 movies, I guess
Well,
you could
three
say
movies, one as a kid and
3.
two as a bounty hunter who, like you said, doesn't have very many lines.
Yeah, exactly. And like you don't know anything about Boba Fett or what he's like, and
Unless you watch the Clone
he,
Wars, you do get a good idea of what kind of he'll come into if you watch those Clone Wars episodes.
yeah, and you do understand that he's not doing the bounty hunter thing, right? He is doing something different. He's a mafia boss. You guys understand that, right? You Star Wars fans understand that, right?
Not all of them.
He's doing something different. He's a mafia boss. He's not the bounty hunter that you're used to seeing in Empire or in Return of the Jedi, right? It's like I want to make it clear that he's doing something different. He's not doing the bounty hunter thing, right? He's a
And
mafia boss,
it makes it pretty
like
clear in those
like
flashback
Jabba
sequences
did.
too that he's a changed person for what he's
Yeah,
experiencing.
yeah, like I don't know. Let's say Jabba, right? Jabba was a mafia boss. He wasn't going around bounty hunting. It's so he's a mafia boss. He's not, you know, the bounty hunter that you're used to seeing killing people. And he wouldn't be killing people because he'd probably keep them alive to take them back to the person that made the bounty, right?
Well, depends if it was dead or alive, I guess, depending on the
Yeah,
job.
I don't know. I just don't know why people are complaining about that show. Is he
It's
gonna
because they
kill
want
people?
to. It's yeah. And I laugh at the people who were saying, "Oh, this is Disney like Disney-fied Boba Fett, like they were making him soft or whatnot." I mean, this was George. George Lucas was planning all along to make Boba Fett not like the full-on villain that some people want to be. Just look at what we saw in the Clone Wars and even the unreleased Clone Wars episode that we got, where Boba Fett first gets his armor. He starts becoming like the protege of Cad Bane. There's a deleted sequence. It's unfinished, but it's fully voiced where you see Boba Fett go up against Cad Bane because he doesn't want to put harm to any innocent people, or there's like a village that they're trying to. I forget. Obviously, it wasn't finished. We don't have the full story, but Cad Bane was going to either kill some people or kill people in this village, and Boba Fett wasn't going to have it because they were innocent, and that's not how he operates and how he does have a code of honor. So all that was established early on, and if you really dive in and pay attention, if you really are a so-called hardcore fan of Boba Fett and you think they're softening him up, you got to look back to what was originally planned for the character, what George Lucas was doing back in the Clone Wars, and it makes sense that he would be on this path now in the Book of Boba Fett. So I think this Dave Filoni, I mean, thank goodness he's involved. He's continuing on what I think was establishing, what George Lucas was establishing for the character way back in Clone Wars. How, yes, he is still that ruthless bounty hunter when he needs to get a job done, but that doesn't necessarily make him a full-on villain. He does have a sense of honor and a code that he goes by, and that, I think that's on full. You're seeing that in the Book of Boba Fett. So those complaints that just annoys me to no end. It's just people trying to the same old hate on Star Wars because it's whatever the new Star Wars thing, they have to hate on it because it's Disney Star Wars and they automatically have to hate on it. It's just that type of nonsense.
How can you soften a character that was introduced in the holiday special?
Well, arguably the best part of the holiday special.
Yeah, the only
Yeah,
part.
I shouldn't say arguably. It is definitely the best, only redeeming aspect of the holiday special.
Yeah, how can you soften a character anymore? You know, when he was introduced in the holiday special, but I don't know, Tim. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're not. But I'm loving the series though. I mean,
Yeah,
um,
I love it. Yeah.
bad speeder bike chase sequence aside, the
Oh
series
yeah,
has been awesome.
that's that was one of the worst
Yeah,
sequences I've seen in a long time. Long time. That looked awful.
yeah, it was not
And the way that they weren't grunting or saying anything or
good.
yelling, just said, "Oh, you know, I went over the bump of crates or whatever, and then oh, I'm down." Yeah, that was one of the worst things. That aside, I really loved it. I really love the show. I want the spinoff of Danny Trejo, Rancor,
Right.
Wrangler.
I know.
I
Now we
want
got to see
that.
how he came in contact with that Rancor, see other Rancors he's maybe trained. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
flying
that
out
was cool to get.
planets. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I love the show. I really liked all the stuff when in the past when he was with the with the Sand People.
Yeah, that stuff blew me away. Like, I wouldn't mind if the whole series was like that. That's how much I thought those flashback
Yeah,
sequences were great.
yeah, and like especially because like the beginning, um, the first two episodes, it was more like um, Boba Fett's going here, and then he's going there, and then he's going there. Sort of thing where it's didn't really have much to it. Where he's going to visit the governor, he's going to visit that casino thing. There wasn't really much going on in that present time, whereas like the more interesting stuff was happening in the past time with
Yeah,
the Sand
definitely.
people. Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
yeah, I love it. The Boba Fett costume looks really good. I really like it, especially with sun hitting it. I don't know for some reason.
yeah.
I like seeing it in the day. Maybe it's because of Return of the Jedi, but yeah, I totally love the show, and I just wanted to make clear that I wasn't crazy, and that you sort of agreed with me, where it was like you understand he's doing something different, right? He's not
Yeah.
being the bounty hunter guy. He's being a mafia boss. He's a mafia boss now, right?
Yeah, it even says it in the second episode too. I
Yeah,
am not a bounty hunter.
right. He's a mafia boss. So I just wanted to make that clear so that I didn't feel like I was going crazy, because like all I've been seeing is like people criticizing him like, no, I want him to be evil. Why can't evil guys just be evil? How come we got to change the name of his ship? You know, how come he's saving people now? It's like that's how you build alliances. That's how you
Yeah.
build alliances. If you're a mafia boss, you do something good for somebody else, and then they're in your pocket. But I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy too. Maybe we're
No,
both crazy.
no, we're not. It's the other way around. Trust me. So yeah, I've been more than satisfied with it as a diehard Boba Fett fan for so many years. So
Yeah.
I can't wait for more.
Yep. Especially if they announce the spinoff, which they are going to do, Tim. I hold on faith that we are going to get Danny Trejo, the Rancor Wrangler.
Yeah, that's the title right there. It's called the Rancor Wrangler.
Nope. You got to say Danny Trejo,
I gotta say the
Rancor.
actor's name. Okay, that's the only way it'll sell.
Yeah. It's the only way Dane's showing up.
Speaking on the TV front, go on to one of the other cool bit of news that I got excited about when it happened last week was that the Batman: The Cape Crusader, the animated series, was which when you think the creative team can't get any better with Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves, and James Tucker being involved. Now you throw in Ed Brubaker, where it was just enough that he's going to kind of be like the head writer of the series and is going to be heavily involved with it. And Ed Brubaker, a really great comic book writer, wrote some Batman comics, but I think probably what he's best known for is his Captain America run, where he did bring back Bucky Barnes and pretty much created the Winter Soldier. So I love what he's done, both in Marvel and DC, and the fact that now he's going to be working on the Batman series is just awesome. Like I said, the creative team for this show just keeps getting better and better, and I just cannot wait to watch it and just get our first look at it and just see what we're going to be in store for, because I just think we're going to get a really special Batman animated series. I don't think it's this year. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I don't think they have a set date yet, but within the next year or two, I think we're going to get a real special new Batman animated series, and I cannot wait for it. So that was a cool bit of news to get for Batman: The Cape Crusader, knowing that Ed Brubaker is joining the already impressive created team for it. And then I guess the last bit of news I'll mention is that this has happened a few weeks ago now, but I believe it was the Monday after the Christmas weekend, where it was a nice surprise to get a new trailer for The Batman. And I don't know if you're at a point, Dane, where you're staying away from watching any new trailers or footage for it, but I thought I was at that point. We got into that's always kind of a good point where to be excited for something and to see that you've seen enough footage of it and where you don't want to see too much. But when Matt Reeves sent out that tweet and I saw it, like, I gotta watch it. And I did, and just like the other two trailers, it blew me away. This movie just looks awesome. The more I see of it, the more I just think we're gonna be in for a great Batman movie. I just, from a visual standpoint, and just especially in this trailer, I think it was called The Cat and the Bat was like the name for this trailer. But the Batman Catwoman dynamic looks to be really great in this movie, and can't wait for that. Can't wait also too for just the stuff we're gonna get with Bruce and Alfred, because there was that line where I believe it was Bruce talking to Alfred where he's saying that he lied to him, And I just really think we're going to get something that's similar to the Telltale's Batman game, where there's going to be some dark secrets that Bruce's parents and maybe the Wayne family have that's going to be revealed to Bruce in this movie. And I'm really curious to find out what that is, if it is something similar to that game or something totally different, and just see how Bruce deals with it and how he moves forward as Batman with coming to the knowledge that maybe the Wayne family name isn't as good and clean as maybe he thought. So that's always an interesting story dynamic that I loved in that game and would love to see explored in a movie too. So again, this movie just looks great. The trailer we got for it was awesome. It was nice that when I saw Spider-Man No Way Home for the third time, they already had this new trailer attached to it. So it was cool to see it on the big screen as well. So yeah, Batman, or the Batman, continues to look awesome. We're only a couple of months away from it now. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back, but you never know. Movies are still kind of fluctuating now with the stuff that's still going on with the pandemic, but hopefully it still contains its early March release, which I believe is March 3rd or March 4th. But obviously we'll see it at a Thursday showing. So, but that was just cool to get on just a random Monday, a new trailer for the Batman. So definitely had to make mention of that, as it was a pretty awesome trailer.
I wonder if it's going to get delayed, Tim.
I know, I'm still like, it's
Yeah.
hard because we're so close to it, but at the same time too, they could still delay it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I could see him maybe let's just put it in a summer release. All Batman movies have had summer releases previously, so let's just wait a couple of months. I can totally see him doing that as well.
Yeah. Or maybe they might do the thing where the Disney thing where it's like, charge $30 to see this.
I'll pay it without question.
Yeah, I'll pay it. Yeah, I'll pay for that.
Yeah. But probably after the year they had with the day-and-day release of HBO Max and movies, and for everything in 2021, they're probably not going to want to do that again, I imagine. But
did you pay for the Black Widow?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
yeah. The only MCU movie I didn't see in theaters.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've said it before how I invested in a nice home theater setup, so I kind of prefer watching movies at home when I can. So the earlier the better, in my opinion. But at the same time, too, when you talk about No Way Home and being in that crowd reaction when Tobey and Andrew Maguire showed up, that's pretty awesome to experience too. So there's still stuff I like about going to the movies, but just from watching a movie, just try being fully engrossed in it, I still find myself, I prefer to watch it at home more so than going to a movie theater.
Oh yeah, and speaking of No Way Home, I asked my dad.
Oh yeah,
how he liked it. He loved it.
Yes, I was hoping you would.
for the reason why you expected, because Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were in it as Spider-Man, and of course Tom Holland, and how they brought back all the villains. He really liked what's his name? Green Goblin and Willem Dafoe. So yeah, he really liked it.
And he went in kind of completely blind, right? Not knowing.
Yeah, he doesn't know or care about any of the little intricacies that were within that movie or that Marvel fans really care about. He doesn't care about that. So yeah, he went in, saw it, loved it, and then my parents saw it again, and or they saw it 3 times like you did.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Like I said, my mom, for some reason, I don't know what she would have seen her in, is she really likes Zendaya, and she hated Dune because she was like, why is she only in the last part of the movie? Yeah. They should have had her in the beginning, and they should have had her do this and that and the other thing, and it's like. But she liked it too because Zendaya had more of a little part in it.
They're definitely more than Dune, that's for sure.
So yeah, they both loved it, and especially my dad, because he's such a Spider-Man fan for some reason.
Just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear you liked it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, on that happy note, I guess that'll do it for our first episode of 2022, the first episode of Dublin Dane. So I will go ahead and throw it to Dublin Dane for the outro.
Sunrise under Gotham moon. Crime Alley is a rich boy's tomb. There's a steaming cat, two faces of a coin. Scarecrow